We're back. Part 4 of The Shining. Snowbound, Chapter 26, Dreamland. We have spoilers. We're going for the book club vibe.
To catch y'all up,
Yeah.
we literally just ended the last talk with Danny going into room 217. That's got the creepy lady with the hanging boobies.
Okay.
And she had her hands around his neck.
Yeah. Yep, that was the scariest part, guys. Just the big, saggy, hanging boobs. Nothing else. Not the supernaturalness.
And the fact that she's literally a ghost undead
Not that she's
creature.
a ghost zombie monster that defies Halloran's warning that he can't hurt them. I think they can't hurt you. They're just like dreams or,
Pictures in a book.
Yeah. Well, now he has imprints over his neck. Somebody strangled him. Yeah, we're going to see, what's her name?
Well, we actually don't know. So we're going to find out that he has imprints around his neck in this chapter.
Yeah.
It literally, the chapter ends with her putting her fingers around his neck.
You don't know if he
died. And turning him around. So you have no idea what's happened. Mm-hmm. You just we're going to open up part 4 with his parents. Wendy, coincidentally, I love that the house puts these people to sleep constantly.
Yeah, that's a great point.
She's like, oh, I just happened to be knitting and fell asleep.
Put a note there for that.
And Jack also had, sort of fallen asleep. And what's going to wake them up is that Jack is going to basically sleepwalk, which is also connected to one of those, pieces of writing or, it was like a diary entry that he had found where basically the girl is writing to her ex-lover.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, Tommy, I thought I would come up here to think of us, but I just can't seem to make the times. I always keep getting distracted. And then another piece on a menu was scribbled, and it was like, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm sleepwalking a lot here. Yeah. So he's starting to feel the same effects that all these people that have left these little messages had, and he's going to sleepwalk and destroy the CB radio, which is their only connection to the outside world.
Yeah. It's nuts. We were saying last time the devil is anything that distracts, and this sleep being a weird in between, because did we say that, did Tony come to him in his dreams more, right?
Tony used to come to, but he hasn't. He can't, right now Tony can't get to him.
So that's what I mean by there's some control it has over dreams on both offense and defense. Yeah, that's a really good catch. They hear him screaming, right? Is that what gets them up there? This is all him looking back?
No. What's going to happen is that Jack is going to smash the radio, and Wendy's basically asleep, and she's going to wake up to the sounds of Jack smashing this radio.
That's right.
And she's going to immediately think emergency. So she's going to run down the stairs, and she's not even going to notice that Danny boy is standing in the stairs, sucking his thumb, and just staring into oblivion.
Yeah.
With imprints around his neck.
He does such a good job with that staring off, without visuals. It's not a movie, it's a book, but it's written so good that you get because earlier that was the same night, right? That the whole thing with when he was in the bathroom with the mirror and all that, or was that the day before?
I think that's before. I don't remember when.
Yeah.
But we do. So what ends up happening to Jack that puts him into this kind of sleepwalking is that he was looking through all these papers. He's down in the cellar, and he's talking in his mind how he's going to be writing the book on the hotel, even though they've told him not to, because at this point both Ullman and Al Shockley have called him and told him, if you even think about writing something about the hotel, you're in huge trouble.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm going to write it, and it's going to be the truth. It's going to be off the cuff. It's going to be real. I'm even going to talk about these topiaries moving.
Yes.
I'm going to let everything out. But also, he's starting to get enchanted. So we actually have here, he would write it because the Overlook had enchanted him. Page 325.
Oh, okay.
Could any other explanation be so simple or so true? He would write it for the reason he felt that all great literature, fiction, and nonfiction was written. Truth comes out. In the end, it always comes out. He would write it because he felt he had to. So he's basically starting to fall under the spell of the hotel. And then he starts to think about his dad. And this is where we get the story of how his dad was a drunk. And he
Yeah.
was sitting. Basically, he's at the table, and he jumps up and he beats the shit out of his mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a whole lot of detail, graphic descriptions there.
Yeah.
We mentioned it a couple talks back with the whole flashbacks to when Jack loses it. He, rationalizes this. Because at this point, he still thinks that's horrific. This is one of those things haunting him.
What's crazy?
It's funny, but his grandfather's name was Mark Anthony Torrance?
I don't remember.
Yeah, because it says the stone red.
Oh, that's his dad. So Danny's grandfather.
Yeah. They all got Anthony as the last name, so that's him. Could that him be playing with any of them? Could have been Tony.
No,
I know it's confirmed later.
It's confirmed.
but at the time of writing this, I'm like, internally, I wonder if that was a choice there.
But what is interesting is the way Stephen King. So, Jack probably had one image of his dad back in the day, and then Stephen King is going to start to show different versions where he's gonna talk about how his dad used to come home and used to play elevator, and sometimes the elevator would go up and nothing would happen, but sometimes he'd throw him up so fast he'd basically lose his grip and drop him behind, like he would fly over him.
Yeah.
And like drop his kid.
It's very scary as a new dad. I gotta make sure. I will get in trouble for that one.
Yeah, you will.
It's kind of terrible when we throw her up. The first time I started throwing her, I was like, all right, I got this. Not so bad. But yeah, obviously that's going to be connecting to the hotel's elevator and how it's faulty and scary and
it's also just supposed to be how his dad, like how kids can see, and for Jack he saw the good and bad in his dad. Like that was a nice memory of him and his dad.
And Danny's doing that now with...
Because I feel like what's happening is that Stephen King is starting to sew a story with his dad, where later it makes it easier for Jack to turn around and say, my dad was just trying to do the best for us. And like, look at these good memories I do have of him, and look at these moments where he was just trying to be a good dad, and the world wasn't letting him, or my mom wasn't letting him, or like they blamed it on the drink, but he was just trying to do his job and no one was listening to him. Well, because all of us are, I think he says insolent.
Insolent? Yeah.
I forget what the word. It's like a specific word. Like,
but to the point of it's him. There's other external forces. His dad's not bad. It's just that these other forces are acting on him, and he's crumbling from the pressure.
It's not just that. His dad is literally. Eventually, it becomes his dad was trying to do the correct thing and be a dad and
with the discipline shit.
Yeah,
which is
like
nuts.
He was supposed to be the husband and the discipliner, and everyone was supposed to listen to him, and no one would listen, and he doesn't know why because he was too young. But his mom probably did some underhanded, not listening, disrespectful stuff and turned the kids on him, and he didn't even know it. And he was, he didn't listen, and his siblings didn't listen, and his dad was just trying to do good by everyone. And like then he realizes that's probably why this is happening to him, and why because eventually the hotel starts to turn the behaviors of his wife and son, who are trying to literally survive him, into them like being underhanded or disrespectful. And the hotel's like, like, I don't know, man, I don't know if you got it you're not cut out for this, like, can't even keep your family in line.
I got to think, but he destroys the radio because of him hearing his dad's voice coming through the radio. Because let me read it, it's pretty fucking this last line here hit me. So he hears the dad coming through. He's hearing a bunch of random shit before this, but it ends with, kill him, you have to kill him, Jackie, and her too, because a real artist must suffer, because each man kills the thing he loves, because they'll always be conspiring against you, trying to hold you back and drag you down. Right this minute, that boy of yours is where he shouldn't be, trespassing. That's what he's doing. He's a goddamn little pup. Cane him for it, Jackie. Cane him within an inch of his life. Have a drink, Jackie, my boy, and we'll play the elevator game. Then I'll go with you while you give him his medicine. I know you can do it. Of course you can. You must kill him. You have to kill him, Jackie, and her too. Because a real artist must suffer. Because each man," and it cuts off, he's screaming. So he is screaming at the dad's voice too. Like, he doesn't want to do this at this point. He's literally screaming, "You're in your grave. You're dead. You're dead."
This is the hotel starting to like take effect on him, and he's able to ward it off now.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But,
I mean, obviously.
But he knows
will
knows
lose.
that it's like
It will
eating
not
away at
ultimately
him.
lose, though. But even the little pup thing, with that weird vision of the guy in the pup suit being like weird domination, almost like and what are they called? The furry things, like the little suit that they're wearing. The ghost rich people party. There's like one guy who like has him in a chain.
Yeah, he's
it's
literally
like
dressed as like a dog.
Yeah, yeah. And so they, his dad, the grandpa, used to call him a little pup. Like,
Jack's dad.
Fucking Jack, yeah. There you go, I was blanking. Jack was called little pup, and that he was the weakling, and blah, blah, blah. And so now he's calling Danny that. And Kane.
Even so, leading up to his dad talking through the radio, the way it's all written is so good because he's starting to slip into this, like, you go from the memory of him talking about his dad to like his dad beating his mom, and like how he's just, I don't know, it's all starting to blend together, kind of like how we talk about how in this house like time seems to blend, like everything stacks. So we go from the memory of like he's hearing him breaking Danny's arm and picturing Danny in his training pants and asking him if he's okay, and then he's hearing his mom's voice.
But I like that the house doesn't just make it in his head. It
no,
messes
it's like
with,
actually messing with,
because it's creepier that nature itself, when the topiaries, or really let's say the storm, because later there's a line with Harlan's like, and the people are like, "This is the biggest storm in ever, in decades. This is the strongest storm." So everything is turning against you. It's not just in your head. It's literally the radio is playing shit that was in your head.
I want to see how the movie, like,
I
I'm
know.
so scared the movie's going to drop the ball on this. Like, a slow dissolve, disembodied voices echoing up at him as if along an endless cloudy hallway. "Things keep getting in the way, dear Tommy. Medoc, are you here? I've been sleepwalking again, my dear. It's in the inhuman monsters that I fear. Excuse me, Mr. Ullman, but isn't this the..." Like, these are all things that he's hearing in his head. And it's starting to lead him, because before that, literally in his mom's voice, it says, "From your father, I repeat, an enormously important announcement from your father. Please stay tuned, or tune immediately to the Happy Jack frequency. Repeat, tune immediately to the Happy Hour frequency. I repeat." So that's how it's like leading him to the new, like, to the radio.
Yeah. It's crazy and creepy and perfect. But yeah, that dissolving of that the horrors are just in your mind. It's like, no, they're literally in the topiary. They're literally in the wasps. They're in the
They're
radio.
getting stronger, and they're very real.
Yeah.
And then we have the beginning, or like the now recurring theme, because we have Jack feeling the first effects of a headache over in the library when he was doing research. We forgot to talk about that, that was why he wanted the Excedrin to begin with.
Yeah.
And now we have him, this like headache coming on again. So it's something is messing with his mind.
Yeah, and again with these physical symptoms, I really love that, and I think that's a better way to view the world. In the real world, there's no, distinction there. Chapter 27, you want to get there?
Yeah. So 27, this is where we find out Wendy ran down the hall on her stocking feet and ran down the main stairs to the lobby 2 at a time. She didn't look up at the carpeted flight that led to the second floor, but if she had, she would have seen Danny standing at the top of them, still and silent, his unfocused eyes directed out into the indifferent space, his thumb in his mouth, the collar and shoulders of his shirt damp. There were puffy bruises on his neck and just below his chin.
Yeah.
So that's because she hears a bang. She has no idea that Danny would be up there.
Yeah. She's running past it. I mean, that could be filmed. To your point about how the film does it, you could see that visually.
Well, because their living quarters are on a different floor. They're below the floor that Danny was on. So she just runs literally, and like, you have to think the house is probably dark. So this kid's just standing at the top of the stairs in this dark ass hall. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way I pictured it.
Mm-hmm.
Just him, because it's not like, why would you have the entire lobby lit up if it's just you guys and you're all hanging out in the same little living quarters?
Mm-hmm.
Like, kid's just standing up at the top of the stairs, creepy as shit.
And I love that they all know that he wants to keep the job. So everything he's doing could be blamed not on supernatural excuses in their mind, but like, you broke the CB radio because you don't want us, now I can't be like, now I can't call them to leave. Like if she were to try and, either convince Jack to leave or try and call somebody herself, like all these options are gone now because of that.
Well, on 338, we actually have Jack. So she hadn't really ever seen him. She saw him cry very rarely, but he starts to like sob, and he explains to her, because imagine you come in, you're stuck on a mountain, and you come into a crashing sound, and it's your husband destroying the only connection you have to the outside world.
Here's,
So he says, dream, I guess it was a dream, but it was so real. It was my mother saying that Daddy was going to be on the radio and die. He was telling me to, I don't know, he was yelling at me. And so I broke the radio to shut him up. He's dead. I don't even want to dream about him. He's dead. My God, Wendy, my God. I never had a nightmare like that. I never want to have another one. Christ, it was awful. What he's not telling her is, it was awful because my dad was telling me to kill you and Danny.
Which is a great point. He's always lying, whether it's half-truths or, just omission or...
He's the best liar in the...
in a lot of fiction. So then they have... So
at this point, she's like, all right.
Yeah, then she asks him, where's Danny? Yeah.
And everyone, of course, is like, he was with you. No, he was with you. So they're freaking out because they're calling out to him, and he's not answering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And basically, there is a little bit of pointing, like, did you fall asleep? Yes. Did you fall asleep? Yes.
Yeah.
So they're ready to do the blame game. And that's when they find Danny. And immediately...
Hold on, is that before this where it says, when I'm on my deathbed, you'll lean over and say it serves you right? Remember the time you broke Danny's arm? Yeah, because they're going...
Yeah, that's part of the blame game.
Yeah.
Because, again, immediately he can't let go of the fact that it bothers her. Like, she heard the smash, and the first thing she did was come running, and deep down, it was probably written on her face that she was wondering if he was doing something to Danny.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Yeah, that he hurt him, too.
Yeah.
Which is great mother intuition. He was literally being told to kill Danny. But
also, no, you can't hold it against me. Yes, every time something happens, I'm going to wonder if it was you. Yeah. And so imagine, what's going to happen is that they're going to find Danny. Mm-hmm. He's up at the top of the stairs, still sucking his thumb.
In the darkness.
Immediately, she's going to take him, because Jack's going to go up first, and he's going to put his hand to basically touch his neck, and he's about to ask him, who did this to you? And she's going to snatch Danny up. Mm-hmm. And tell Jack, don't you touch him. Yeah. So this is page 340.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, remember this. This was intense.
Yeah, don't you touch him. I'll kill you if you lay your hands on him again. Because, she's freaking out, and he's going to take this really personally. But
yeah, because he still thinks he would never do that. You know what I mean? Because like I said, he lies to himself, but he also convinces himself. It's... in his mind, when we're in his mind, the chapters when we're in his mind, you get kind of convinced the reader for a second, you wouldn't do that. You highlighted it too again just now.
Yeah,
that's funny.
So she's gonna literally take Danny, and she's gonna run away, and she's gonna take him to the apartment and close the door. Yeah. And she's gonna lock Jack out. This is the first instance where she has, for the first time ever, locked him out and kept him away from Danny.
Yeah, I love this, the internal dialogue and back and forth. He fell down the stairs, doctor. He would never hurt Danny now. How could I know the bug bomb was defective? Yeah, never in his life had he been willingly vicious when he was sober.
except when you almost killed George Hatfield.
Yeah.
You see, this is why I still think whatever.
What? No.
We're
the
gonna
road?
get there. I still think
No, that's right. You got it
that
highlighted.
George Hatfield was the one
Bike boy.
whose bike they hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I forgot this line too. Like, there were multiple things that pointed towards George Hatfield being the kid on the bike, and that's why he has a stutter, and he only has a stutter in the debate team because he knows that this guy
Jack's
literally
there in
almost
charge.
killed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is cool. I'll try and remember that for the upcoming video.
Yeah.
Wait, let me highlight that.
And so there is this kind of like wondering if he would have hurt Danny while he was sleepwalking. And it's going to make him kind of nervous, but he's also like, no, I would have never done it.
Mm.
And
it is terrifying. And like unfair, almost like Free Will and scary fighting movie wise. I'm like, yeah, I guess. Why the hell can't the house just make you, if it can control other material, it can't just make you kill people?
so this is where things start to get weird. Like, Wendy, so in the room, Wendy sat in the overstuffed chair by the window with Danny on her lap, holding him, crooning the old meaningless words, the ones you never remember afterward, no matter how a thing turns out. He had folded onto her lap with neither protest nor gladness, like a paper cut out of himself, and his eyes didn't even shift toward the door when Jack cried out, "No!" from somewhere in the hallway. So, like, that no, I always pictured it being the, like, of super, just animalistic, like, ah!
Yeah.
Like, frustrated.
The start of him losing it.
Yeah.
In anger.
And she's
While still trying to fight that it's in him.
basically.
Mm.
So what's gonna happen is that she's terrified, and she's gonna be calling out for Jack, and she's not going to really be answering at this point.
Yeah. Sorry, I just saw here, like, and if Jack tried to do anything but help, God help him. Because this is where, I don't know if it's in this chapter or next, where we get her...
Yeah, at last she stood up with Danny in her arms, her legs trembling. There was no other way. She would have to assume that Jack awake was Jack sane. Because she's, in her mind, she's like, alright, sane, sober, awake Jack wouldn't have hurt Danny, but maybe sleepwalking Jack is a problem.
Yeah.
And asleep Jack is a problem.
The escalating problems.
And that he would help her get Danny down to Sidewinder and Dr. Edmonds, and if Jack tried to do anything but help, God help him. She went to the door and unlocked it, shifting Danny up to her shoulder. She opened it and went out into the hall. "Jack?" she called nervously, and got no answer. With growing trepidation, she walked down the stairwell, but Jack was not there. And as she stood there on the landing, wondering what to do next, the singing came up from below, rich, angry, bitterly satiric.
Yeah.
"Roll me over in the clover, roll me over, lay me down, and do it again." I don't think that's the way it goes, but...
She was frightened even more by the sound of him than she had by his silence. He's singing that?
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean? I'll just say. You have no clue? You think that's some older song that's like coming through him?
Probably a song from Drinking Days.
Like, that's interesting.
So these chapters start to kind of stack, where we heard him shout no, and she was in the room, and then now we're going to Jack.
And she's getting herself ready. It's the first time, that's what I was going to say, like, where she's thinking how she could hurt him.
Not just that, like, time-wise, so we start with, they find Danny, then she goes and locks herself in the room, and we're in Jack's perspective for a little bit. Then we flash to her, and it goes back a little bit, because it's like her sitting Danny down, hearing him basically have a breakdown in the hallway.
Yeah.
And then now we're back at Jack, and it's going to go back a little bit, because as he had stood in the stairs listening to the crooning, comforting sound. So that's her when she was still comforting Danny. Like, we've actually, like, time is starting to go back and forth between the perspectives.
They're overlapping. They're collapsing the timeline. Just like the whole point. All of the past history is on top of itself. Even as we read it, we're reading timelines over timelines.
And he knows, he's like, maybe it was her, but
Yeah.
deep down he knows Wendy would never hurt a hair on this kid's head.
Chapter 28 opens with one of my, like I said, one of the more realistic and dark parts of this kind of relationship. That it says he would sense that the little flare of her nostrils as she tried to divine scotch or gin fumes riding on the outbound train of his exhalation. Like, forever. Yeah, that he could be off the juice for 20 years. And she's still going to be sniffing his breath if he comes home late or something.
And even to the Danny thing, he had been a lush, he had done terrible things, breaking Danny's arm had been a terrible thing, but a man reforms, doesn't he deserve to have his reformation credited sooner or later? And if he doesn't get it, doesn't he deserve the game to go with the name? If a father constantly accuses his virginal daughter of screwing every boy in junior high, must she not at least grow weary enough of it to earn her scoldings? And if a wife secretly and not so secretly continues to believe that her teetotaling husband is a drunk,
then reasoning
should
with himself,
he not just start drinking? Because it's not like all the work he does to stay sober.
There's no point. They all think of him as a drunk.
They're
Might as
always
well
going to
enjoy
be
being a
wondering
drunk.
if he had a drink. Did he sneak something? Is he going to lose his temper? A rather ugly grin touched his lips at the thought. Let her come to him. She would in time. This is where it all starts to get creepy. Like,
dark. That grin is creepy as shit.
He's losing his mind.
It also, though, it shows that he probably has been treating her like that the entire relationship. Because she's the weak one with the overpowering mother and the, this and that. And he likes being, I don't know, above her. And they cleanly...
For sure. I mean, I think so she always thought he was helping. I think he even unconsciously was using the way that her mom did things to her to, like, basically fill that position.
Yeah.
And just turned her against her mom.
And this is him seeing...
Rightfully or not. Like, it's not like he helped her to stand on her own 2 feet. He just basically had her become codependent on him.
Yeah. And serve him to be a good wife in her mom's eyes.
So, this is where we're going to walk into the dining room for the first time. And, like... dinner will be served at 8 p.m., unmasking and dancing at midnight. And this is where the hotel starts to actually come to life.
Yeah, and we don't know, could all of them have seen this, you think?
Yes, they could. No, we super know.
Okay.
We super know because, so throughout as the hotel starts to gain more power and as we start to see these things, because it'll start with, like, one event.
You think now they could see it? I know towards the end when shit pops off, of course.
No, you can see it before. Like, so what's going to happen is that Wendy will start to hear it as, like, noise or music or voices. And it's one of those things where you have to sit there and you wonder whether that's a voice you hear or whether that's the air conditioner. Or
then I think that little song at the last part is the song from that party. Because even the way it's written here, if you see in the font...
That's what I mean, where things are starting to...
That's like music from the 1945.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and what's happening is that she's coming out. So this is where this is what I mean, where, like, time is collapsing or overlapping. She's going to come out of that room sometime after trying to calm Danny down and failing to do so, basically. And she's going to look around, and Jack, who had been in the hallway where she had left his ass, is gone.
Yeah.
And she's going to be like, Jack.
Yeah.
And there's going to be no answer.
And the whole time he's doing this part.
This is what he's doing. So she's up there trying to figure out what's wrong with their son. And instead of...
where he's in a 1945 ball.
Yeah. He's in a party.
Yeah. And he's ready to get boozed up.
Yeah. He found himself standing on the other side of the dining room just outside the stylized batwing doors of the Colorado Lounge, the bar, where on that night in 1945, all the booze would have been free.
Sounds like a party to old Jackie.
Belly
have a drink.
To the bar, partner. The drinks are on the house.
And you can smell the beer. Every little sensory detail's there. It's fully real.
Yeah.
To all the senses.
He, like, stepping into there, he knew that everything had been bare, but he can see it. You can smell beer. The air is damp. and he's freaking out. Eyes widening, he fumbled for the wall switch, and the low, intimate bar light coming on circles the 20-watt bulbs implanted on the tops of the 3 wagon wheel chandeliers overhead. The shelves were all empty. They had not even as yet gathered a good coat of dust. The beer taps were dry, as were the chrome drains beneath them. To his left and right, the velvet-upholstered booths stood like men with high backs, each one designed to give a maximum of privacy to the couple inside. Straight ahead across the red carpet floor, 40 bar stools stood around the horseshoe-shaped bar. Each stool was upholstered in leather and embossed with the cattle brand Circle H, Bar D, bar that was fitting. Rocking W, Lazy B.
Yeah.
I did like Lazy B the most.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just him finally relaxing, too. Reading this part gives such a feeling of, like, King wrote it so well, like, like, relax, like, you could take a breath. It was so fucking scary, those chapters before. And it's like, in Jack's mind.
Right. I actually felt, I was like, what is going on?
Well, yeah, but, like, when he's talking to the bartender, when he gets talking to him, and
I
he's
know,
just
but
trying to
there's
pitch
no
it.
one there.
No, of course, but that's why.
He literally goes to the bar, and
Yeah.
then Lloyd, because he somehow also, like, you don't find it odd that he knows the bartender's name?
Yeah, yeah.
The bartender doesn't
exactly.
have to introduce himself or anything.
Mm-hmm.
He just says, "Hi, Lloyd. A little slow tonight, isn't it?"
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd said it was. Lloyd asked him what it would be. So, and what I also love is the way this is written, because it's starting off where
I remember catching that.
the way that these characters respond to him, you don't hear them speaking. It's just written like that. "Hi, Lloyd. A little slow tonight, isn't it?" So it's Jack. Lloyd said it was. Lloyd asked him what it would be. "Now, I'm really glad you asked that," Jack said. "Really glad, because I happen to have 2 20s and 2 10s in my wallet, and I was afraid they'd be sitting right there until sometime next April. There isn't even a 7-Eleven around here, would you believe it? And I thought they had a 7-Elevens on the fucking moon." Lloyd sympathized. So you see how it's, like, Lloyd said he wasn't busy at all.
Yeah.
Lloyd turned to do the job. I forget what perspective, but you're not actually hearing these characters, but it's being said what they're doing or what they're saying.
Yeah.
And it eventually, you do just hear them. Like, Lloyd said, blah, 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 blah. "Oh, hi, Jack. Good to see you again." Like,
but how do you think it's because he's just stepping into the memory of somebody from back then, or?
No, the house is speaking to him, but it's almost to show that right now it's only in Jack's mind. It's only affecting Jack.
That's why I was wondering if somebody else could see it.
Not in this second, but very soon.
Okay. I'm picturing he's sitting there in an empty room, no lights. You know.
Yeah.
Because even ghost lore, you could walk in and see the ghosts doing shit.
Right now, he's not gonna get, like, right now he doesn't see ghosts, and right now he doesn't see. He can just almost sense it, like. Yeah, like, he can almost picture it in his mind, but as soon as he turns the lights on, there's nothing there. But there's someone he's talking to, and he's talking to Lloyd, and Lloyd is telling him, "Don't worry, this is on the house."
Yeah.
You know, "Oh, thank you." Like, but we can't hear these conversations. All we know is that Lloyd is saying things back to him.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna, like, chew another Excedrin.
Yeah, okay. They had 7-Elevens back since 1927. I was wondering if that was supposed to be a clue, because he mentions Excedrin. I was like, did they have Excedrin back then? Like, is it anachronistic on purpose to show us this isn't actually him going back in time? This is generated in Jack's mind? But it could have been, because there was 7-Elevens back then, I guess. How about Excedrin? When wasn't Excedrin made? You know what I mean? Because he's mentioning things that Lloyd, if he was just back in time. Excedrin. How the fuck you spell Excedrin? There you go. 1960. So that wouldn't have existed yet. Because he says about the Excedrin to Lloyd? No.
No. He's just gonna chew
this
an Excedrin.
This is just in Jack's pocket. Okay.
What he's gonna talk to Lloyd about is that he technically had quit drinking, and they had painted him quitting drinking as riding the gold wagon. Ironically, in the lounge, like, all this wagon Colorado theme stuff, but so the wagon is the biggest and best float in the whole parade, and everybody's lining the streets and clapping and cheering and waving all for you except for the winos passed out in the gutter. those guys used to be your friends, but that's all behind you now. And so he talks about how it's painted that way, but then once you're actually on the wagon, and once you've actually started to quit the drinks.
What page is that?
352. Then you start to see things, Lloydie, my boy. Things you missed from the gutter, like how the floor of the wagon is nothing but straight pine board, so fresh they're still bleeding sap, and if you took your shoes off, you'd be sure to get a splinter. Like how the only furniture in the wagon is these long benches with high backs and no cushions to sit on. And in fact, they're nothing but pews with a songbook every 5 feet or so. Like how all the people sitting on the pews on the wagon are the flat-chested Albertos in long dresses with a little lace around the collar and their hair pulled back into buns until it's so tight you can almost hear it screaming.
It's like saying that being teetotaler, being sober is like being in a cult.
Yeah, like
it's its own form of weird religion.
He's also just saying it's not worth it, like.
Yeah.
And it's all these people, like.
Yeah, they're insufferable people you don't want to be with either. Yeah. You're supposed to not want to be with the winos,
uncomfortable, but like you're giving up.
Yeah, it's
everything in the gutter that was your friends and fun and happy for sitting straight.
And if you don't enjoy being in either fully, you might as well be in the natural alcoholic state.
Yeah. So as he's talking to Lloyd and feeling like he's getting drunk or feeling like the effects almost of drinking, because remember he's asked him for a drink at this point, he feels like there are people laughing at him, and he turns around to like yell at them, and the whole place is empty.
Yeah.
But he feels like they're there.
Yeah, is that on 354, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he stopped.
And then this is where he sings a song. That same song that was at the end of the previous chapter.
Yeah, okay. Roll me over.
Yep.
Yeah, this was so creepy. Like, I could see this visually done kind of easily. You could just film it as a big party. You know what I mean?
I would
film it as empty.
I know that we're going to watch the movie, but yeah, I would film this whole thing empty, but actually have...
It would be cool, showing off of actor skills of him. All kinds of subtle little mannerisms and reacting. Almost like nowadays they have to do this with green screen.
I know.
Jack Nicholson would have been doing this back then.
I don't know if I would have someone answer back.
Yeah, in his head, like hear it.
Or actually just have him just talk to nothing.
I think imply it. We'll see. Like have him laughing. Decision. Like reacting like a real natural conversation, but him by himself would probably be so creepy to watch. And like artistically interesting to play with the quiet on purpose. Just him sitting there. And such a hard thing to actually act out. But Wendy catches him down here is where we get to at the end of this chapter. Yeah, Jack, she cried in chair. Oh, Jack, what's wrong with him?
This is where he finally just tells her, I never touched him, Jack said thickly. I never have since the night I broke his arm, not even to spank him.
Yeah.
Which is kind of not whatever. Jack, that doesn't matter now. What matters is, this matters, he shouted. He brought one fist crashing down on the bar, hard enough to make the empty peanut dishes jump. It matters, goddammit, it matters. Which I have to admit, for all the shit that I give him, you do kind of have to validate, like, look, you're right. It does matter. Yeah. I'm sorry that I jumped to conclusions. You also need to understand that your actions did this to me. Like, it's very hard for me as the mother to trust you. Of course. But yes, you're right. I do owe you an apology for jumping to conclusions.
Like, wouldn't he be a monster if he didn't care that you thought he hurt the kid? Like, that would be worse of a person than he is. Yeah. Like, and it goes to we'll save this for the end, but be thinking about, are there any flaws in this book? I know that sounds insane. To like, oh, no book's perfect, but I'm like, every little conversation matters, to use his word here. Like, you need this too. You need him. He should be pissed about that. He should fight, and he should snap, and if he is being angry, well, he's going to be angry, passionately, angrily defending himself. Like, all these little conversations matter. They're so efficient. Yeah. So good.
No, there's really, like I said in a previous talk, there's no wasted space in this book.
Yeah. Everything is linked to something else.
At this point, Danny is going to wake up.
Yeah.
but he's actually going to just start like screaming, and then he's going to be like, "Dad, Dad, Daddy, Daddy."
And there might have been 100 Dannys all screaming at once.
Yeah.
Like that was what do you think that's about?
I think it's just
that's how loud it was, but I'm like, man,
it's that loud and empty
and
so quiet. Like you have to think all you hear is maybe the sound of the wind outside.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just them in this empty ass hotel, and he's just so imagine like a kid screaming in a hotel.
And the whole dark nest thing, like the whole, we're keeping with the stinging points, his imagery, like he went into that room, he went into this nest, the whole house is a nest of, these spirits, whatever you want to call them. But that room specifically is actually supercharged.
What he says is going to trigger, because he's going to shout, her, it was her.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so Jack is going to look at Wendy and be like, what did you do to him?
Mm-hmm. So we get a perfect flip. Because obviously the boy's screaming about the her in the tub, but they don't know that. So he's running to daddy screaming it was her. He assumes it means mom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because, who else would it be?
Yeah.
And
they know they're alone.
Yeah.
I know. Perfect. See what I mean? Every fucking sentence is efficient. And like even her feeling that flip for the first time, nobody would ever think she's the violent one in this relationship.
Yeah.
But like, you must know, like,
he does relish in this. So like, he gets mad at her, and immediately a part of him is ready to believe she did something to Danny, but that's quickly snuffed out because
he knows it's not real. He knows
she would have never done anything. But he is kind of happy. He's like, how does it feel to have the shoe on the other foot? So this is into chapter 29. Mm-hmm. Like he's feeling very, very cocky right now, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just looking through here what this gets into. That you were watching.
What?
No, this year. What did you do? What did you do? Why weren't you watching her? What kind of father are you? They're thinking back. He's hearing something. She hounded him to his grave. Yeah, by the time he divorced her, it was too late. They must be talking about his mom, right?
I think
his mom, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, cooking sherry. Because she's worried, but she knows that he can't be drinking either.
Because so they know there's no alcohol in the hotel. Mm-hmm. They basically make the baby something to drink. He just wants to put something in the drink. The sherry's actually for Danny. Mm-hmm. They're just trying to get him something warm in his belly.
Yeah.
So they're trying to calm his nerves, and Danny takes like forever. Just basically sits there and drinks his little tea, and the parents basically get to kind of like size each other up.
Yeah. And a really ugly thing here, because Danny's saying, I should have told you, I didn't tell you everything, and so she says, I guess we didn't talk enough, did we, Doc? But the dad's reaction, that like, exactly what did you talk about, jackass? Like, I'm not sure how much I like my wife and son. He wants to say like talking shit, plotting things behind my back, but she cuts him off by saying like discussing how much they love you. Like, he really is so insecure for real reasons because he really fucks up all the time. But it makes this vicious downward spiral where he thinks they're out to get him because they fucking are annoyed with him, but they also do love him more than he gives them credit for.
They do, but there's also the house is messing with them. I think the house is prying on. So
everything.
So because we suspect that Jack shines, he does get a glimpse of Wendy possibly being jealous of him.
Yeah.
And Danny's relationship. We have on the heels of that came an uncomfortable, even startling thought. Has she wanted to think Jack was to blame? Was she that jealous? It was the way her mother would have thought. That was the really terrible thing. So we get that glimpse, and then so we have almost like the parents being jealous of each other and who Danny's close to.
Yeah, likes more.
Which is like
silly parent shit.
Just silly and like it doesn't. It's kind of like I remember the first time the baby asked for you to put her to sleep instead of me. I was a little heartbroken, but I also knew like It's very healthy. It's a very good thing.
Yeah,
She wants
and don't
to.
feel bad. It's just because I do it better. That's all it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you put her to sleep today?
I literally do it like, I don't know, not even 1 in 10 times. Like, I appreciate you. That's why I'm able to make these jokes.
She's all right. If we
literally have
sound
baby monitor.
if we sound a little off, it's because it's been like 3 days. She always goes down in like 15 minutes, and for whatever reason at night she's been really fighting us to go down.
Because you keep reading spooky books. And Papa believes these are somewhat connected to real life laws. But
she's good, right?
Yeah, she's good. I've been watching her, don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a baby monitor. Anybody listening to these this long probably knows that by now.
So the house is messing with with this jealousy factor, but it's also what you were saying, bringing up this like, I'm the head. Like if my wife and son are doing things behind my back, it's not just that she's turning them against him. It's that they're not listening. They need to be disciplined.
Well, that's
they
definitely
need to be put in line.
his
like,
dad coming through too. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're slipping from my control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of it, and it's his hotel. Yeah, that's not fully in yet, but that idea that he was pissed at Ullman, it's definitely not Ullman's hotel. That's been in his mind for a long time, but it's starting to get like it's all his. Because did we miss that part? There was was it with the bartender that he mentions that he could become manager one day?
No, that's
later, right?
Later. Because we're actually, so that's where
that's at the party, right?
As the party and as the hotel becomes stronger and we get closer to the date, like the finality of everything, you're actually going to, these things are going to actually become physical. Mm-hmm. So like right now, Wendy can't hear anything.
Yeah. Okay.
But literally like a couple days from now, she's going to be able to hear voices and music.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what we meant.
And then eventually what's going to happen is they're going to hear the elevator going up and down by itself. Mm-hmm. And she's going to climb into the elevator that she's terrified of. Yeah. And she's going to throw out of it like confetti and a mask. Yeah. That coincidentally belongs to a homewrecker.
Yeah. That's why I said the hussy.
Putting it out there.
Mm-hmm. When you said it's physical, I'm like, it sure does.
But in this chapter, what's happening is that the hotel's gaining power, and Danny's going to just confess everything. He's going to tell them, he's going to come back to himself a little bit. He's going to tell them that he's a shine, like he's got powers. Yeah. He saw things in the presidential suite. He saw the topiaries move.
Says it too.
Yeah, he's going to tell him that Halloran told him that he's got this power and that to be very careful. He's going to tell him that the topiaries attacked him. He's going to tell him about the lady in the room. Yeah.
Just info dump on the parents out of nowhere. By the way, I already talked to the other guy. We already got this. We've been talking about my psychic powers. Mom knows I got psychic powers.
We're going to find out that Danny passed out when the lady turns him around, because she like takes him by the neck, turns him around, and like they're face to face, and then he's going to say, because basically in telling the story, Wendy's going to try to comfort him. Jack's going to say, let him finish. And he's going to say, there isn't any more, Danny said. I passed out either because she was choking me or just because I was scared. When I came to, I was dreaming you and Mommy were fighting over me and you wanted to do the bad thing again, Daddy. Mm-hmm. Then I knew it wasn't a dream at all. And I was awake and I wet my pants. I wet my pants like a baby.
What a baby.
He's 5 and...
He's acting like a real baby. He can't even handle a supernatural building trying to kill him and his parents.
So Jack,
Kids
basically,
these days.
Being the man, is like, I'm going to go to the room.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because if there's someone here with us, I got to make sure.
Are there no guns in this house, right? You need that for the plot.
Pretty sure there was a shotgun once upon a time.
Right?
But
it's
I think
both how the hells are not
Grady
in the middle of the woods.
himself,
Yeah, it's a gun-free zone. Yeah. When it's been haunted for 80 years. No, it's not that long. It's been 30 years, really, too, right? It opened in 45? Yeah, that was the opening party.
I don't remember when Grady... I don't remember when Grady happened.
Yeah. But, I mean, this is in the 70s-ish.
But we have here, don't worry, Mommy, Daddy said. He'll be all right. He doesn't shine. Nothing here can hurt him.
Yeah, where's that?
Right at the end. It's 366.
Oh, okay.
And through her tears, she said, no, I don't believe that.
Yeah. But because Danny's only saying that because Halloran said that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That, and I think because Danny has never seen evidence of his dad technically being able to shine.
If Danny's so strong, because we're going back and forth on this last time.
So
is it true? I know, but you can't have it both ways. He's super strong and he's only 5. I'm like, well, you'd think you would pick up on it. I don't know.
But his dad's been hiding it behind alcohol his entire life.
I know, and I think the dark side itself, either just at a distance or through Al or through
and
like it stores up through the alcohol.
I don't remember when is it that he realizes at some point he finally gets it, that because his dad hasn't told him about the topiaries attacking him yet.
Yeah.
I think I almost want to find out.
Yeah, when would that be?
I don't remember when, but at some point he realizes that his dad has been lying. I think it dawns on him that his dad is susceptible to a lot more than he thought.
Because you think Danny thinks he only got attacked like that because of the shine?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what he means by saying
because like his mom has never been attacked.
Yeah, that's true.
That, and maybe he thinks because it's him, like the house is messing with him. At some point, they're gonna realize the more like with this stuff actually becoming real, they're all in danger.
Like the Ghost Adventure shows, it's like...
Although technically, the topiaries really only attack him, his dad,
Halloran.
and Halloran.
Yeah.
They never attack Wendy.
That's how I was going. I was like, because you got these psychics, the internal lore, at least, if any of this shit is true, is like certain people are way more sensitive to it. But what this is playing with is, yes, but if something could devour these people, flip these people, make a site so creepy, so powerful, even lay people, right, increasingly psychically weaker people can be affected by it. To where the average person goes, oh no, I just get a weird feeling in that building. Like the most simple-minded guy. Not the force sensitives. This one opens up with this funny chapter 30 with this whole conversation with the eating each other.
Well, he's gonna take the elevator up, which is terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all super scared of that. Oh yeah, and she only wanted one of them in at a time, right?
Yeah.
That boy popped the 3 Excedrin. He's not playing games.
Oh yeah, and here's where we have him realizing how he felt cocky. It's in this chapter 370, and for the first time he felt his new sense of sureness, almost cockiness, that had come over him when Danny ran to him shouting, it was her deserting him.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think at this point, he's in the room.
Yeah, if I could step back just to 368, there's a great line. When he took his Excedrin, blah, 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 nothing in the Overlook frightened him. He felt that he and it were simpatico. Like, he's realizing he is one with the hotel in a way.
Yep.
Not in a good way.
The hotel wants him, and he wants the hotel. So why would the hotel do anything to him?
And he's naive to think it only wants him. He's the ultimate goal. It's like, no, you're a step to the sun. Oh, so, this is where he sees. Yeah,
so he's going to go in. He's going to start searching around the room. He's going to move the shower curtain or see it. So far, so good. He's going to look down, though, and he's going to see a bath mat. And everything in these hotel rooms have been put away. Yeah. So he's looking and he's like, what is that doing there? That's not supposed to be there. That's weird. Danny might have gotten it. But
why do you think that is? The ghost needs a bath mat? The ghost put the bath mat?
I mean, the hotel's trying to take care of itself. It's a little rude for you to think, like,
she needs a bath mat.
Because she does. She's slimy and wet. I mean,
it's such what do they do in their time off? Like, I don't even know, like a Robot Chicken kind of thing. Like, what are these supervillains doing? Like Palpatine, he's just dicking around. But these super evil things, like she just goes and takes a bath and lives a normal, creepy ghost life.
Just get water everywhere?
Yeah.
Come on.
I think that's a time collapse, but also the physical, they call them objects out of time. So, like, a lot of them are fake. I mean, they're all fake.
I mean, it's also, it's to create...
I'm saying maybe it came from the past, like a fucking actual wet thing from the past is like popping into the future.
Well, it's bone dry right now. So writing-wise, it's just being used as a tool to show for sure a change. Because what's going to happen is that it's bone dry.
Yeah.
And it's going to be wet.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's going to basically, like, go into the bathroom, everything is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be leaving. And then he's going to smell like soap. And he's going to be like, that's really weird.
Yeah, I was looking for that line here.
Like, why does it smell like soap? And it's specifically, like, a type of soap that, like, it's a fancy soap. Because when he was working at Stovington, his wife used to use a scent like it.
Yeah, is this the part here? The tub had been scrubbed clean at the end of the season, except the rust stain under the twin faucets. It sparkled. There's a faint but definable smell of cleanser.
Keep going.
Yeah.
It's
it's still dry here. Not a hint of moisture.
Yeah, his nostrils flared a little disinfectant. That self-righteous smells cleaner than thou, and soap? Surely not, but once the smell had been identified, it was too clear to dismiss. Soap, and not one of those postcard-sized bars of ivory they provide you with in hotels and motels either. This scent was light and perfumed, a lady's soap. It had a pink sort of smell. Kamei or Loila, the brand that Wendy had always used in Stovington, which for me was like, this is fancy soap. When they lived in Stovington, they were making enough money that they even could put away a little bit. So she had to be buying, like, the good stuff.
Yeah.
She was at Bath and Body Works,
I know, right?
y'all.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Not
it's
even
in your
the ones
imagination.
on sale.
Yeah, no. She was paying full price for this stuff. It's nothing. It's your imagination. Yes, like the hedges. Nevertheless, they did move.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like... And then he's fighting with himself. They did not move. But he knows they moved.
He's getting the headache, too.
Then there was a sudden rattling metallic sound behind him. It came just as his hand closed around the doorknob, and an observer might have thought the brushed steel of the knob carried an electric charge. He jerked convulsively, eyes widening, other facial features drawing in
This is
grimacing.
terrifying for me.
Because I can't read?
No, well, that too. I have an issue with being electrocuted from everything.
Oh, my lord.
He loves Excedrin, and he gets fucking headaches.
The shower curtain, which he had pushed back to look into the tub, was now drawn. The metallic rattle, which had sounded to him like a stir of bones in a crypt, had been the curtain rings on the overhead bar. Jack stared at the curtain. His face felt as if it had been heavily waxed, all dead skin on the outside, live, hot rivulets of fear on the inside, the way he had felt on the playground.
Yeah.
There was something behind the pink plastic shower curtain. There was something in the tub.
Amorphous.
A woman long dead and reclining in her bath, a bar of Loila. Why'd they pick the one I can't pronounce?
Loila.
In one stiffening hand as she waited patiently for whatever lover might come. The door to the hall was shut. So basically, like, everything that happened to Danny is happening again.
But it's cool that it trickles in. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's a cool, like I say, I keep using it, but that's what it is, a metaphysic. Like, that's the physics of how this works. Like, it doesn't just pop in at once. It's like this blending, this merging.
He walked to the door with the same jerky stride and forced his fingers to curl around the knob. It won't open, but it did. He turned off the lights with a fumbling gesture, stepped out into the hall, and pulled the door shut without looking back. From inside, he seemed to hear an odd, wet thumping sound, far off, dim, as if something had just scrambled belatedly out of the tub, as if to greet a caller, as if it had realized the caller was leaving behind the social amenities that had before the social amenities had been completed, and so it was now rushing to the door, all purple and grinning, to invite the caller back inside, perhaps forever.
Is it weird that I think this one's in a weird way equal or more scary?
No, this is more scary because you can hear it.
Maybe like, thumping around.
Yeah.
I don't know why the thump was what got me so freaked out.
He fumbled at the passkey. It seemed sludgy, unwilling to turn in the lock. He attacked the passkey. The tumbler suddenly fell, and he stepped back against the corridor's far wall, a little groan of relief escaping him. He closed his eyes, and all the old phrases began to parade through his mind. It seemed there must be hundreds of them. Cracking up, not playing with the full deck, lost your marbles. Guy just went Looney Tunes. He went up and over the high side, went bananas, lost his football, crackers, nuts, half a sea bag. All meaning the same thing, losing your mind.
Yep. Which goes back, like we said, that's a consistent theme. You are surrounded by people who lose their mind. We just get used to the fact.
But below the tumble of his chaotic thoughts, below the trip-hammer beat of his heart, he could hear the soft and futile sound of the doorknob being turned to and fro, as if something locked in tried helplessly to get out. Something that wanted to meet him. Something that would like to be introduced to his family, as the storm shrieked around them and white daylight became black night.
This is my lover.
If he opened his eyes and saw the doorknob moving, he would go mad. So he kept them shut, and after an unknowable time, there was stillness.
Yeah. Which again is just interesting. You can ignore it. You can... it's fucking with him. There's no other way to word it because it's just messing with him. It could have attacked him stronger.
The creepiest part of this whole thing is that... So imagine, you've just been in the room, you check the bathroom, everything's fine, you literally turn to leave, and you hear the shower curtain close itself.
Yeah.
You look in, and it's closed, and there's someone in it. You leave, you lock the door on your way out, you hear something trying to get out, and it can't. And then you feel like something is watching you, and for like a second, he's like, I wonder if it's looking at me through the peephole.
Yeah.
Fuck you. No. We are not looking in the goddamn peephole. We are leaving.
Well,
Feats, don't fail me now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I'm right there with you. Get the fuck out of here. I didn't see that at all, Jack Torrance said quite clearly.
Yeah.
His face was white and haggard, and his mouth kept trying to grin.
Lying to himself. It's funny because the lying to himself is necessary to keep him in this predicament, where you get people that are made fun of for being so overreactionary, and people call them simple-minded that believe in all the woo-woo stuff, and it's like, well, it's evolutionarily successful. If you are lying to yourself and able to rationalize at this degree, congrats, now you're stuck.
Literally, the next chapter is so short. Because also on the way down, the frickin' fire hose thing did the same shit to him that it did to Danny, where it was pointing one way and then it was pointing another. And so he's going to literally come downstairs in chapter 31. This chapter is so short.
It's not even paragraphs.
He's going to walk into the kitchen and he's basically going to tell them, nothing there. Not a thing. Liar.
It's absurd.
He
I make a
bounced the
promise
pesky-
to you that will not happen. It's just not lying. Get you out of so many predicaments. Just don't lie.
Yeah, we would
You
have
go,
left.
listen, Wendy, I really need this job, but the boy is right. There's a fucking dead lady thumping, not even a ghost, worse than a ghost, zombie that animates across time and fucking pops into existence, and then it can physically move things. So it's definitely not like a memory
trace. As
trace.
your loving wife, I would tell you, we can get a job any fucking where.
Yeah.
No offense. But yeah, we can do welfare. I can get a job.
We'll
You
rob
can get a
banks.
job. We can rob banks. We can literally do fraud. There are so many ways to make money in the world.
With
Money
Your
is
Honor,
the easiest
I was
thing
being chased
to
by an
come
intelligent
across.
hotel.
I didn't realize that we had to work in a fucking interdimensional haunted hotel, stacking time with ghosts that are willing to eat us.
It's the economy. Okay? Don't blame me.
On the top of a
Blame the
mountain where you've
politicians.
destroyed the only radio and connection to the outside world, and there's nothing but snow and storm and terror outside. And the
Wow.
plants don't even like us.
Well, it's all easy to say in retrospect. When you put it that way, you make it sound a lot simpler than it is.
That's right.
Yeah. But for real, to my other point, what I kept saying with the Asimov series, esoteric, that the whole point of fiction is so you don't live this out. So when you find yourself in this, my sister, as my dad, it was one of his famous things he always told us growing up. He loved it. She said, why don't they just do this and that? And he said, because then the movie would be over. It's like, yeah. Learn from Jack's story.
You say that, but I saw a video where this lady kept tripping because the steel was attacking her.
I did watch that before.
So,
they're making fun of people really do fall and flop around, just like the horror movies where you're like, come on, that wouldn't happen. It does seem to happen. But this is constant, conscious, willful lying, even though he's being manipulated by a literal extra-dimensional darkness.
So
Anyways,
we're now on chapter
32.
32. The bedroom.
The bedroom.
Because we're going to bring in a little cot. Danny's sleeping with us because I agree. Everybody's in the same fucking room. This place is creepy.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
How's the baby, by the way?
She's fine.
Okay.
We're
Just
co-sleeping.
So much this book is so creepy.
Yeah. Don't worry, I got eyes. Yeah, so they're all huddled up, hiding. I love it. Yeah, there's nothing in there. By the way, we all should grab, like, weapons. And we should all hide in the sheets. Tuck ourselves in. Put something up against the door.
We're going to touch on...
He doesn't actually say any of that, shockingly.
So while we're kind of, like, in the room together, we're going to touch on different things in Jack's mind.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is going to be the little school play that he's writing.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be thinking about how he thought that he liked the character, the main character, because he thought he related to him.
Man, you know where...
The golden boy. And then he's kind of like actually flipping and relating to the principal now because his golden boy's nothing but a stuck-up little jit.
Yeah. Because it's perfect, like we were saying before, you know, more vaguely, but now, like, literally, if you 2 chapters before, if you count the couple sentences of the last one, but basically he just admits that him and the hotel are one. Simpatico. And now is when he realizes, like, you know what? The big overbearing, you know, soul-crushing guy was actually the good guy of that story.
Yeah.
He actually needed him.
Now he tended more and more to see Denker, the principal, 381, as a Mr. Chips figure, and the tragedy was not the intellectual racking of Gary Benson, but rather the destruction of a kindly old teacher and headmaster, unable to see through the cynical wiles of this monster masquerading as a boy.
Yeah, it just flipped. It's literally inversion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my really Superman.
Because he talks about how he, like, related to all his characters, and he had written, like, some story about some guy that was, like, a pedo.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah,
he,
that's
like...
in here, right?
Yeah, he understood that character, but...
That's... Do you see that, too? You highlighted what you just read, right?
Yeah, so that's on 377. It's a little further...
Okay, back.
Yeah.
Because I was making the point that, look, you're getting both here, which is so honest and realistic what King's writing. He's using this weird play thing. I thought if I had to pick something that was weird or not perfect about this book, I'd be like, what a strange thing to put in here. But I don't really think that, because it makes sense. He's a writer, he's at some fancy pants school, and it works so perfect to show the shift in his own mind.
Yeah.
Like, we literally get a marker for when that happens. But him making that whole thing, like, he used to relate to some of the bad people in his other stories.
Yeah,
it's like what's up with that, bro?
So he wrote a story called The Monkey is Here, Paul DeLong.
Mm-hmm.
And the child molester's name had been Paul DeLong, Monkey, to his friends. Jack had liked Monkey very much. He sympathized with Monkey's bizarre needs, knowing that Monkey was not the only one to blame for the 3 rape murders in his past. There had been bad parents, the father a beater as his own father had been, the mother a limp and silent dish rag as his mother had been, a homosexual experience in grammar school, public humiliation, worse experiences in high school and college. He had been arrested and sent to an institution for exposing himself to a pair of little girls getting off a school bus. Worst of all, he had been dismissed from the institution, let back out into the streets because the man in charge had decided he was all right.
Amazing writing. So subtle. Who's the he there? Is the he... He's shifting, saying that a lot of these things he shared with Paul DeLong.
Yeah.
But then when it says just he, you actually don't know, like, because literally the father is the same, the mother's the same. There's a homosexual experience in grammar school, which somebody like Jack would never say. Well, that happened to him too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. The public humiliation is plausible. You know, the worse. All of the rest is plausible. It could just be talking about him. That's so funny and subtle. That's cool. But yeah, it shows like I said, I think in the first one, bad things happen to bad people sometimes. Like, he's not a nice guy. He never was.
Yeah.
He blames. There's plenty of people that have come from the exact same background and don't become pedophiles, and have all this violent temper and all that stuff.
So
He said, meanwhile, people were known. Yeah.
What?
Grimmer is the guy that did what? Grimmer knew that monkey. Oh, that let him off. He could
that's the
also
guy that let him off.
sympathize with the guy that could let him off.
Because
Because he's not as bad as people that torture children.
This little story is basically so that you can see how many, like, he saw himself as a sympathetic, like, he sympathized with the guy that let him off. He sympathized with the murderer. He sympathized with the families of the victims. He wasn't, in those days, he hadn't wanted to judge. The cloak of moralist sat badly on his shoulders.
Yeah. Which is
he had started the little school in the same optimistic vein, but lately had begun to choose up sides, and worse still, he'd come to loathe his hero, Gary Benson.
It reminds me of this quote. Is it George Orwell? I don't know. Probably. Yeah, it seems like he would say something like this. Some ideas are so stupid only intellectuals believe them. Like that, because that's just such annoying, pathetic, midwit kind of response. Like, I'm actually able to come up with reasons why the pedophile and the child torturer is a victim also in a way. We all can do that. Keep going. So therefore, we also know everybody also went through a similar setting and didn't do that. We also know that we have to operate as if there's good and evil. Differentiate. It's like, you're going to come back to the same freaking point, but to make himself feel special, he's like, I actually empathize with all the characters in my books. Like, funny midpoint.
Just one more thing on the whole.
Mm-hmm.
So he thought that Danny used the word sir quite sincerely, and Gary Benson, as originally conceived, had too. But as he had begun Act 5, it had become more and more strongly to him that Gary was using the word satirically, outwardly straight-faced, while the Gary Benson inside was mugging and leering at Denker, the headmaster.
Yeah.
Denker, who had never had any of these things Gary had. Denker, who had had to work all his life just to become head of a single little school, who was now faced with ruin over this handsome, innocent-seeming rich boy who had cheated on his final composition and had then cunningly covered his tracks.
But you see how he's not creative? That's just the story of him and George. That's literally what he accuses George of. So I love, like, I'm so empathetic and intelligent, I can think of all these different scenarios, but it's all just about him.
But this is also, like, he refuses to come to terms with the fact that he hated George.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He wanted to be George. He maybe pictured himself as George, but he's realizing he hates George and he's Denker.
Yeah. And almost like in a, like I say, the Dharma sense, like, fulfill his role. He just is evil. I mean, the hotel maybe is the embodiment of evil. Like, okay, well, you're going to be fought by good things. Like, but he sees himself as, I'm not going to change to be like, even with the change, like, he just is an alcoholic. Play that role. Don't try and be something you're not. Don't try. And I think that, like, he's just giving up on the idea that he could be like the golden boy George. Like, fuck that. He is the other guy.
Yeah, he's embracing that he's Denker at this point. Because
he's in a hub of the actual dark side,
Yeah.
The Ahriman, Zoroastrian, like, there just is a good light.
If he had the potential to have been George at any point, it is gone.
Yeah. And he's okay with it.
Yeah.
Just like he was rationalizing getting off the wagon.
He's going to be snapped out of this weird trance he's in by Wendy, basically saying they need to get the heck off this mountain. And he's like, we can't, I need this job. She's like, well, I need to at least get Danny off this mountain. And he's like, no, leave him. He's like, we can, like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
But she's also, there's going to be this nice moment where she's going to say that she's basically going to apologize without apologizing. Don't, she said, and put her hand on his shoulder. He leaned his head against it. She brushed his hair with her other hand, I guess you've got a right after what I accused you of. Sometimes I am like my mother. I can be a bitch. But you have to understand that some things are hard to get over. You have to understand that. Do you mean his arm? His lips had thinned. Yes, Wendy said.
Yeah, I like that she just said yes. I loved that part. Like, yeah, I'm not going to equivocate and jump around. Like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So.
Is this, where is that? That ends here? No.
No. That's 383.
Yeah.
Where I found that.
Okay.
So they're basically talking about their options.
I love, if you want to just jump ahead, I mean, yeah, they're going through all the gas and all that. But his whole section, is there anything else from there you want to get in? Or?
No, just that she's going to convince him that they need to try to get the snowmobiles out.
Yeah, okay, that is huge.
And he's going to try to talk her out of the snowmobiles for whatever reason. That idea bothers him.
I wonder why.
But
what could be tickling his brain?
He's going to be like, the snowmobiles probably aren't even set up to go anywhere. And she's going to be like, no, I mean, they got it. Like, why would they keep the snowmobiles and not have a battery and stuff close by?
Yeah. Yeah, well, they stored in 2 separate spots, I think she says. Yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, she says it literally there.
But, they're basically going to get together. They're just going to talk about Danny. And
he's remembering, everybody has ghosts. All the hotels have ghosts, but he's getting into more.
And she's going to just kind of continue to bring up, like, you haven't changed your mind about the snowmobile, I mean. His hands clamped into sudden tight fists. Stop nagging me. By his sides, I said I wouldn't, didn't I? I will. Now go to sleep. It's been a long, hard day.
Sleep it off.
Which I'm pretty sure they had sex, but I don't.
Yeah, right. I think so too.
Because he constantly distracts her with sex.
Yeah.
And him, like.
I guess. Yeah. We're getting to the stigmata thing, which I super like. What? Was there before that or no? You good?
Do it. No, there's one last thing I want to go over in this chapter.
Yeah, she was playing with them, lazily flicking at the nipples. That's what you were saying. Like, she also is weirdly able to get in the mood with the attack from fucking zombie lady. What was it, though?
So they're going to be here. He's starting to realize in this chapter, because this is like one of the weirdly longer chapters in this part of the book. He knows that technically they're trying to. First, blood had begun to trickle down from his palms like stigmata.
Yeah.
Oh yes, he squeezed tighter, savaging himself with pain. His wife was asleep beside him. Why not? There were no problems. He had agreed to take her and Danny away from the big bad boogeyman, and there were no problems. So you see, Al, I thought the best thing to do would be kill her.
Where's that? What page?
That is page 395.
Oh shit! Oh, you got far. I just want to. The whole thing they go back and forth with. She's like, it has to be someone else in the hotel. Like, he's like, it could be a subconscious playing games, but she's really good, just simple.
Well, he even says Danny might have even choked himself.
Yeah, which is super dark, but that's what he's kind of connecting to stigmata, but they don't think that, most of them don't accuse them of doing that. He even says stigmata isn't much different from some of the things the yogis can do. It's better understood now. That's all. The people who understand the interaction between the mind and the body believe we have a lot more control over our involuntary functions than we used to think. You can slow your heartbeat if you think about it. So they've super confirmed this is a real thing. You can raise your own heat. Is like the famous experiment. It's like kind of it's impressively a high amount of heat they can generate just from thinking about it. So he's trying to, but again, to my midwit point, in like only a smart enough person could convince himself of this. Most people go, he has a fucking handprints on his neck. Someone strangled him.
Yeah.
And ironically, that's the simpler answer, and it's we know that's correct. But he's able to go through all of this, well, it could be this, it could be that. Like, it's him projecting it. But in a weird way, it is because of his shine ability. Like, it's only able to hit him like that because countless people probably stayed in this hotel, you think? No? Or it was always locked off? It's always locked off, right?
For winter, but countless people stayed there.
Right, okay. During the...
Not
but
during
wasn't
the
it specifically... I thought it was specifically he had a special key or something for that room. No? For that room 217.
No, it's... A bunch of people stay. The 217 is just a normal room. It isn't even like the presidential suite.
Yeah,
it's just
where the guy got whacked. Yeah.
It just happens to be the room that lady died in.
Yeah.
That we talk about the lawyer's wife in the beginning of the book.
Yeah. So I'm saying in a way, his point is kind of accurate with the stigmata, but he's using it to deflect and ignore the point that at the end of the day, he was still actually attacked. But it is his mental... I mean, he's mentally attuned with it.
He's also not bringing up in his mind, like, it wasn't just Danny. He was attacked, like, he was followed. He's repressing that entire...
Yeah, from the Catholic point of view, these people that get the same wounds as Jesus is because they've become so attuned with the passion, with the punishment of Jesus, that it literally manifests on their body because it's breaking down that barrier between mind and body, and even time. So that's what's happening here. So it's funny. He's right. But Jack has done this stigmata point. He's so attuned with the hotel in a dark way without even knowing it.
That's actually, so the rest of this chapter leads into what you're saying.
Yeah.
Where he starts thinking about how Al is basically trying to get him his job back when this season's over, and he can work, like, if he were to ever finish this play or like move on and create the next piece of work, he might be at Stovington for like another 3 years, but he can see himself propelling into like something bigger, better.
Yeah.
However, somewhere in the midst of that thought, things began to break up and he drifted down into sleep. His last thought followed him down like a sounding bell. It seemed that he might be able to find peace here at last if they would only let him. So that's 398.
And who's they, you think? His family.
His family.
Yeah, right.
Now, before we end and leave this chapter, this is where I found the evidence in my mind.
This is a crazy long chapter. That could have been 3 separate chapters. Yeah, proving that George getting hit.
Yes, because when he woke up, he was standing in the bathroom at 217. Been walking in my sleep again? Why? Yeah. No radios to break up here. That's just the start right after that line break.
Yeah, actually.
And so this is kind of like a dream thing, but he flings the curtain open, and George, he heard himself say. At the word, George's eyes snapped open. They were silver, not human eyes at all. George's hands, fish white, found the sides of the tub, and he pulled himself up to his sitting position. The knife stuck straight out from his chest, equidistantly placed between nipples. The wound was lipless. You set the timer ahead, Silver-Eyed, George told him. No, George, I didn't. I don't stutter. George was standing now, still fixing him with the inhuman silver glare, but his mouth had drawn back in a dead and grimacing smile. He threw one leg over the porcelain side of the tub. One white and wrinkled foot placed itself on the bath mat. See the bath mat again?
Yeah.
First you tried to run me over on my bike, and then you set the timer ahead, and then you tried to stab me to death, but I still don't stutter. George was coming for him, his hands out, the fingers slightly curled. He smelled moldy and wet like leaves that had been rained on. It was for your own good, Jack said, backing up. I set it ahead for your own good. Furthermore, I happen to know you cheated on your final composition.
Yeah.
I don't cheat, and I don't stutter. George's hands touched his neck. Jack turned and ran with the floating, weightless slowness that is so common to dreams. You did cheat, he screamed in fear and anger as he crossed the darkened bed-sitting room. I'll prove it. So,
alright, what do you want? What's your first point there?
My point is, George was the kid on the bike.
Well, of course. He literally says, you tried to run me over on my bike.
Yeah.
Then you set my timer ahead, but tried to stab me to death.
So that was when what I think that's from, now, what we remember is Jack blacked out, but when he comes out from the debate thing and sees George punching, like, cutting his tires, George has a knife in his hands. When he comes back to, the knife is on the floor, and the way Jack describes it is the knife was on the floor harmlessly, like, kind of
He
just
would probably,
thrown.
yeah.
But he probably disarmed George.
Yeah, yeah.
And tried to
and was going to do
stab
it,
him.
and the crowd formed, and the thing, and the evil entity that needs him could have even helped him not kill George. He needs him to be fired, but you can't commit a murder in front of the fucking whole staff.
You're not going to make it up to the hotel.
Yeah. So it needs to...
That, or when he went and fought George and started beating the shit out of him, George wasn't sure. Like, if he grabbed his hand and tried to do anything to George, like...
No, I think it probably sounds like that. He caught him, bested him, dropped the blade, got the blade from him, and imagine holding the blade and full of rage. You want to just stab him, use it.
The beauty is that because it's freaking Jack, we'll never know.
Yeah.
Because he lies to himself all the time.
But how the doc side works, it's... George keeps saying it's not true, but he keeps bringing up that he cheated on the final composition so much that I kind of believe Jack, as nuts as that sounds. I'm like, because the way the dark side works, it would say the one little fucking thing that you did wrong, and that's why you're just as bad as the embodiment of evil. Like, no, man, like the devil's gonna use the one little sin you did to be like, so therefore you're, you deserve everything bad I do to you, because we're both bad.
Yeah.
We're both, and it's like, we're not equally bad, bitch. I cheated on the test, and you tried to run me over and stab me.
Tried to kill me like twice.
Yeah. So that makes sense to me. I don't understand. And the wet leaves thing is a thing. He smelled moldy like wet leaves. I want to say like that's what he smells when he comes to at the crash when he was drunk.
Probably, because it's
vaguely
like on the
remember
side
this.
of the road, like.
Yeah, and King does not waste words in this book, it seems.
So George is gonna continue to come at him, and it's in this dream-like state where he's going to grab a cane-like thing and start to bash George in, and George basically, it's going to say, "Please," George whispered humbly, "give me a break, Mr. Torrance." "Now you'll take your medicine," Jack grunted. "Now by God, won't you, young pup? Young worthless cur. Now by God, right now, every drop, every single damn drop."
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Yeah. The take your medicine comes from the Grampy too, right? Grandpa Torrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't stutter.
So it's in this dreamlike state where... So we see earlier in the chapter where he was talking about George and how he connected George and the way he says sir to the way Danny says sir, and how they could have been similar except George says it underhandedly and Danny's more sincere.
Yes, sir.
So here, as he's beaten George, the cane is going to actually become something else more mallet-shaped with a bright striped handle. A mallet with a hard side and a soft side. The business end was clotted with blood and hair. And the flat whacking sound of the mallet against flesh had been replaced with the hollow booming sound, echoing and reverberating.
Yeah, that's why we kept getting that line foreshadowed earlier, that the mallet has two sides.
Yeah.
So it's, business end.
The figure on its knees slowly raised its head as if in supplication. There was not a face precisely, but only a mask of blood through which eyes peered. He brought the mallet back for a final whistling downstroke, and it was fully launched before he saw the supplicating face below him was not George's, but Danny's. It was the face of his son. "Daddy!" And then the mallet crashed home, striking Danny right between the eyes, closing them forever, and something somewhere seemed to be laughing. "No!" So...
Where was that exactly? Or just highlight it yourself, I guess?
Page 402.
Okay.
So he's actually going to wake up from this dream.
Because it's that laughing, too, that they're laughing at you.
Yeah.
There's a famous story from one of they call them the Desert Fathers, one of the early saints, where he tries to pray for the devil, and he's just laughing at him. It was really funny. I was like, but I love the creepiness of evil just laughing at, like, how stupid us humans are, like, because it's just messing with us. And from their point of view, hating humans, it's like, look how dumb. I got you to kill your kid because you're so fucked up in the head. Like,
well, at this point, he wakes up and he's standing over Danny naked, and it's the weirdest visual.
And I don't
think
they're gonna do that in the movie.
I don't think so.
Here's little Johnny. Little Jack Nicholson there.
But the chapter basically ends with him not really being able to sleep.
Yeah.
And then waking up to check the boiler.
He's a bit shooketh. I love it. It was time to go downstairs and check the boiler. What a perfect way to end that sentence. I mean, that fucking chapter. That's amazing. Oh, God.
Yeah, so we're...
And
The
here's
snowmobile chapter we can kind of fly through.
Yeah, right.
He's going to go out to the snowmobile. And basically, you have a note here about him inverting good luck and bad luck.
Yeah. Shit, where is that?
409.
Over here, right? Yeah. So, won't look for it specifically, but he says... It's when he's trying to get rid of the thing. He thinks it's good luck that he couldn't find the battery, right?
Well, that's the thing. So he goes in there and he opens up the snowmobile and he's like, oh, darn, they don't have a battery for it.
Yeah.
Then he's like basically gonna not look around. And
Yeah.
not looking around sees that there's a box that's like snowmobile battery. He's like, oh.
Yeah, it wasn't
like,
fair.
Oh, but the spark plug things aren't here. Darn, it won't turn on.
Yeah,
And there's like another box under like a jacket or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like spark plugs. He's like, fuck, man. And he's like, why? Why is it that the one time that I needed it to be good luck, like I have the bad luck of finding all the pieces, like it's been turned around where the snowmobile, which is literally the saving grace that is going to take his son away from the place that's trying to kill him, is the bad luck because like what bad luck?
Inversion. That's what I mean by King is like a funny atheist. I'm not forcing these Christian points here. Like it's literally inversion. That's the verbs. That's how they always describe it. That's what I mean by it's like you said. It's like if you don't want to go to work or something, and you're like, oh, I got a flat tire, and the neighbor's like, oh, here's Fix a Flat. Here it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, but my car won't start. I'll jump it. No worries. It's like, fuck.
Like,
I was hoping not to, like...
Yeah,
but that actually is good luck. He's helping you keep your job. He's helping you get to work.
Yeah,
like,
he's actually having the best luck. All that stuff could have not been.
Yeah. But so... What's that? That's a good spirit. That's
like literally, it was someone trying to save him. And
yeah. But this is what I love. That's what I'm saying. The metaphysics here is there's literally light and good forces that are manipulating them. You think it's him from the future? Because don't they use...
No, I mean, I think it's Mr. Ullman that keeps a very tidy ship, I have to admit.
Like, I love your super practical. I'm going full schizo to use the book's terms here.
Yeah, you're going full schizo. I'm like, why would Mr.
Literally like a couple pages earlier, he calls himself a schizo.
The man that runs this place has a stick up his ass. Everything, and he's definitely the kind of man where you walk into his house, everything there's a place for everything, and everything has a place.
Something luck, fate, providence had been trying to save him.
Yes, also Mr. Ullman.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that if I was the caretaker of a place, and I knew that a family was going to be staying there, and if they had to leave in an emergency, they would need to use the snowmobiles.
I would label it too.
I would label
Make sure
everything.
It's a big ass Sharpie.
And I would have it all together close to each other so that you can easily find everything.
Nah. It's time traveling good ghosts. I actually do. I'm joking it off, but I do think he's trying to say that there are good and bad forces because we know that even himself, it's Danny's oversoul, his future self, that is helping him. So other things can be helping and doing bad. If you got an evil spirit, I know this might be simplistic too, but I'm like, there's a good spirit.
Yeah.
That's trying to help.
I agree.
So.
And the good spirit had Mr. Ullman make sure that have a stick up his ass.
The Holy Spirit is just forethinking and good planning.
But in that instant kneeling there, everything came clear to him. It was not just Danny the Overlook was working on. It was working on him too. It wasn't Danny who was the weak link. It was him. He was the vulnerable one, the one who could be bent and twisted until something snapped.
This is why I put my notes. But why, to my point, that, I mean, it's not me forcing it. Like, that's so funny. I was literally saying I'm not forcing Christian themes here, and it goes into the whole story with the Jesus painting when he's in Sunday school, or not Sunday school. I think he went to catechism school. It mentioned somewhere here. He went to Catholic school. and there was this whole story where he was the only kid that couldn't see the Jesus painting. It's like an abstract. It's just black and white colors. It's all blotchy. It's all like, abstract painting. And all the kids, he thought they were all bullshitting. He says they're all just wanting to act like they see Jesus, to be good Christians, but they don't actually see it. He's like, they're all full of shit.
Yeah.
But then just as he's leaving,
first of all, he lies. He tells everyone, "Yeah, I saw it," and then as he's leaving, he actually sees the image of Jesus.
Yeah, he lies and got caught by Jesus. And it just, like, some of his inner personality. You see it, Jackie? And Sister Beatrice had asked him in her sad, sweet manner, "I see your tits," he thought, in vicious desperation. He faked excitement, so he's lying even as a little kid at the Sunday school about a Jesus painting. And he feels like they're all dumb lemmings. They all like, oh, they does see it. But then it says over here, they had all made it up the way he had. Even the sister herself is big fake, shit fire, hellfire, shit fire. And then he saw the face of Jesus in the corner of his eyes, his heart in his throat. Jesus made him see the boxes. Okay. Why would King put that right after that?
All right, I'll give you that Jesus made him see the boxes.
I'll say Holy Spirit to keep it open, and it's just interpreted by Jesus in certain cultures.
So,
but, yeah,
he's going to come to terms with the fact that he did see the hedges move.
Mm-hmm.
The puff circles around Danny's neck, the twinkling half-seen bottles in the deserted lounge, the radio, the dreams, a scrapbook he found in the cellar. Medoc, are you here? I've been sleepwalking again, my dear. So he basically is going to get up and he's going to pick up the battery. It's going to slip. He's going to freak out. He's going to cradle it. He's going to put it in the Sea-Doo.
I'm sorry. It's literally...
In the snowmobile.
Yeah. Oh, you said the Sea-Doo? Jesus, what a Floridian.
I said Sea-Doo. Wow.
What a Floridian. Put it in the jet ski. It is a jet ski for snowfolk. It's a snowfolk jet ski. Anyways,
but he's basically at this point, in this second, trying to get the snowmobile running. Yeah, before he gets... I just want to touch on what the whole point is, that Jesus was secretly there the whole time, even though none of it all looked like a chaotic mess. And the image itself is literally made out of light and dark. And so if something light's trying to help him, and something dark is in the hotel. But the whole point was Jesus was there the whole time. This good option, this good force was there the whole time, even if it's super hard to see. Anyways. So he's so close to getting this snowmobile running.
Mm-hmm.
And he's even realizing, he's like, he could see her side. He can, which goes to him like relating to all the characters he ever writes. Like, he can see how she's terrified of the hotel.
You're still in 28 or 30?
413, yeah.
Yeah, 413. Okay, yeah.
But he can't leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
the Overlook didn't want them to go, and he didn't want them to go either. Not even Danny. Maybe he was a part of it now. Perhaps the Overlook, large and rambling Samuel Johnson that it was, had picked him to be its Boswell.
Yeah.
You say that the new caretaker writes? Very good. Sign him on. Time we told our side. Let's get rid of the woman and his snot-nosed kid first, however. We don't want him to be distracted.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But
that's in the
he's
bottom.
literally realizing, he's like, I don't want to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And I get that the, less deep...
I can't win, he said very softly. That was it. It was like trying to play solitaire with one of the aces missing from the deck.
Yeah.
Abruptly, he leaned over the Ski-Doo's motor compartment and yanked off the magneto. It came off with a sickening ease. He looked at it for a moment, then went to the equipment shed's back door and opened it.
Mm-hmm.
From here, the view of the mountains was unobstructed, picture postcard beautiful in the twinkling brightness of the morning. An unbroken field of snow rose to the first pines about a mile distant. He flung the magneto as far out into the snow as he could. It went much further than it should have. There was a light puff of snow when it fell. The light breeze carried the snow granules away to fresh resting places. Disperse there, I say. There's nothing to see. It's all over. Disperse. He felt at peace.
Yeah.
Because basically, he's just going to go to Wendy and say, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. There's no way to get it moving.
Yeah, yeah.
And on the way, he stopped and had a snowball fight with Danny.
Yeah. But I think that line is so cleverly terrifying. He literally just damned them all to be stuck here.
For sure. That entire...
But he's able to just fake and be so silly. Why would she not believe him? Like, I'm going to find it. I don't know.
Would
and he's in a good mood and he's acting normal. He's playing with Danny. He's being...
I mean, we've all agreed that we need to get our son out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I just want to check on her 1 second.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. We'll pause right here. We'll be right back. We're back. Baby's good. It is November 29th, chapter 34.
Yeah, the hedges.
Mm-hmm.
So we're approaching, everything's going to happen on December 2nd, right?
Yeah, I think.
So it is November 29th, so
yeah.
30.
Yeah, yeah.
In 4 days.
Yeah, which everything plays with time here, like you were saying, from the clock and the thing to the actual collapsing of time to dates.
So Danny knows something is up. He's been trying to probe his dad using his mental powers, but he hasn't been able to get anything. His hardest probings at his father had only brought him a dim picture of something like an octopus rolling up into the hard blue sky, and on both occasions that he had concentrated hard enough to get this, Daddy had suddenly been staring at him in a sharp and frightening way, as if he knew what Danny was doing.
Yeah.
So he's realizing something's up with Dad, but he can't figure it out. So we're just going to continue to live. We're going to stay in safe places. Like Danny's designated, the kitchen is safe. Yeah. Their apartment is safe. 217 not safe. Elevator not safe.
Yeah, he's a little map in his mind. Red.
So he's like bored because he's a kid, and he decides maybe I should just go to the playground.
Yeah, for once.
Like, I never play in the playground. Something tells me I shouldn't go to the playground.
This is manipulation, by the way.
But for whatever reason, I'm going to go to the playground.
I saw as we were scanning chapters back, they mentioned, again, that just like the playground. Like, they all know that the playground's freaky.
No one likes to be at the playground.
Yeah, but now he's convincing himself to try.
Well, there's nothing... So he's like 5 and there's nothing to do and everything's freezing. Like, where he normally plays, there's already a big old shadow over it, so it's cold. And the playground's the only spot that's kind of like... kid-friendly and warm right now.
Yeah.
So he puts on his snowshoes. He goes over to the playground, and everything's looking okay. He goes into there's like cement. I don't know. They got
like a tunnel thing.
Like a tunnel thing.
Yeah.
He goes in there, and everything is fine. He dug a little hole. He went in there. He's being a kid. Snow falls and covers his hole. Pretty normal. Honestly.
You just dig your way out.
Yeah.
Should be easy peasy.
There's like a bunch of dead leaves in this place, and he can hear something moving in here with him.
Yeah. So now he's pinned in this little...
Terrifying.
I guess you could picture it like a... Yeah, like what kind of tunnel is it? I had a hard time visualizing. Almost like a storm drain tunnel with like when you walk over something. There's like the little creek looking like lets water go through.
The hole?
Yeah, imagine... like a bridge, and you got the little tube tunnel just underneath it. It'd be fun to play in it as a kid. You're like in a cool little cave.
Yeah, I just picture it as probably what you're saying.
Yeah, but then when you're closed in there in the pitch black, and you hear shit rustling around in the snowy snow.
And like he's gonna literally remember being told, "Don't go near that place. Steer right clear." He's like, "Great," and here I am.
He's like, "I have a habit recently of doing this." It's almost like the dark side's pulling on his mind.
So he is able to get out of here. And when he looks into this thing, like he climbs out, he's able to dig a hole and climb out. And he looks back and he swears that there's like a hand basically beckoning him to come back.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Most terrifying playground ever. Also, by the way, guess where this playground is?
By the hedges?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's right next to the topiaries. And so far, the only experience he's had, I think, is that they're creepy.
Yeah.
He's never actually had them attack him. Jack's the only one that's been attacked by the topiaries.
Yeah.
And this entire chapter is going to be him running away from the topiaries. And it's terrifying because he's got to put on these stupid snowshoes that he's just learned how to use. And every time he's like moving, they're moving. It's the same thing that happened to his dad.
Yeah.
Where he's got to like keep an eye on all of them. But they keep moving and he'll fall over.
Yeah.
And then he looks and they're like closer. And he's trying to like run to the porch. Because for some reason he knows they can't get him on the porch. But he's in these stupid snowshoes and like there's all this snow, so it's like the most slow moving runaway scene.
Yeah, and you're just looking behind you and they're moving.
And he's 5 and he's terrified. And they actually slash him. So when he like gets onto the porch, because he like falls, he like fumbles to like get these things back on. So when he finally gets to around the porch, one of the topiaries slashes him and like rips his jacket.
Yeah, which we're getting past, like, this is not imaginary. It's him playing with it. It's so cool because when it first happens...
Oh, I'm sorry, his snow pants are what ripped.
Oh, okay. Is it a, psychological thriller and there's like horror, like it's just madness in his mind? And it would still be scary because nobody else would believe him.
But he has an actual, like, this isn't like, oh, like, they got him, like, and there's nothing there. Below his snow pants were ripped open. Inside his woolen ski sock had been ripped open, and his calf had been shallowly scratched as if he tried to push his way through a closely grown evergreen hedge, and the branches had clawed him. He looked over his shoulder far down the lawn, past the putting green, where a number of vague snow-cowled humps the hedge animals. Between them and the playground, between them and the road, his legs gave way.
Yeah. This was foreshadowed about when they have a whole talk about how they could escape. He says, come on, what are you going to do? I got to carry you. Like, Danny can't even walk in snowshoes. He sucks. Like, so it's like, like we said, everything ties back to something. Like, the whole little conversation about him being bad with snowshoes is needed to make this scarier.
Yeah.
So cool.
And actually, Danny's better on him than Lamont. Wendy sucks with snowshoes.
Yeah.
She wouldn't make it. The topiaries would have killed her.
Yeah, he did. I love her low force ability. Like you said, it is funny. She's the least attacked here. I guess they're saving it up for the finale.
Yeah, she gets beat.
Yeah, but she's so far the least attacked. We good to 35, right?
Yeah, 35.
Yeah, Danny finds him all jacked up, but
well, Jack
like
has
you said,
him.
begin to cry.
And Danny's saying that they chased me, and he's terrified that he's going to be taken away.
Yeah.
And he's really trying to not cry, but he's already cried. So he's waiting for Daddy to say something. So Jack calls him over, and Wendy's...
Yeah.
I'm like...
He's remembering lost your marbles.
But not just that, like, something about the way Jack calls him. He goes, Danny, come over here. Jack turned around. His face still had that pinched, deathly look. Danny didn't like to look at it.
Yeah.
Jack, I just want the boy over here for a minute. I agree, Wendy. I got red flags going, too. Yeah.
No, yeah. But I was saying right before that, because this has been haunting Danny the whole time, that he's just going to be... If he's seen as crazy, they're going to lock him up in a padded room forever. So he's remembering all the men in white coats. They're going to come and literally, like, kidnap you. And yeah, of course, Wendy is like, are you going to beat his ass for lying about...
Well, that's... So basically, Jack is going to point out the window and be like, there's only tracks. Your tracks are the only ones in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you lying? Like, and Wendy's going to basically accuse him of cross-examining him.
Yeah.
He's literally going to tell her to shut up.
Yeah. Danny's so worried that he's gonna cry because again, everything is foreshadowed. That was the symptom.
And like, but Jack is trying to find. So what Danny doesn't know is that Jack, in a funny way, because we know Jack, we know that Jack has had an experience with the topiaries.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably trying to turn this on Danny so that it makes more sense because he knows that if the topiaries are alive.
Yeah.
That he's not going crazy and the hotel really is trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Like them.
And
he's also going to know that there's going to be another push for them to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But also, he needs the topiaries to not move so that he could stay sane. So he needs Danny to stop lying about it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how to word it, but like Danny bringing this up and experiencing this is like, no, you didn't. Nothing moves here. Yeah. You need to shut up.
Like, I've already made sure we're gonna stay here, so
Yeah.
let's not make me go crazy. Like, I want you to shut up for your own good. And like you said, trying the best he can to convince himself that it wasn't real, even though.
But so he actually is going to slap Danny.
Yeah, but he never hits him.
That's I know.
But he never. No.
But that's on 432.
Yeah.
Because basically he's going to start questioning Danny, and Danny's gonna actually really put his foot down and be like, no, like, these things attacked me. I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
And he's just going to open palm slap Danny across the face.
Come on. It's the 70s. It's probably the least amount of child abuse, ironically. Like, Jack probably does hit his kid less than most people back then.
However, before he struck Danny, Danny was hit with the vision. He was hit with some clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to know that his dad done experienced this shit too.
Yeah, Danny sees that he saw the topiaries.
Yep.
Yeah. Through his mind, it cracked, which is such a funny way for it to crack. You think it'd be more, shrouded by the darkness. But he gets that little sliver in. You know what I mean? Isn't that weird? You'd think he'd be most cut off.
What do you mean, like?
How Danny can't read anything from his mind.
Oh, I think
normally,
if it's a strong enough feeling, and I think for Jack, it was so terrifying, the topiaries. He can't, as much as he wants to repress it, and even if the hotel is helping him, it's such a strong feeling.
It's probably so front of mind too. Like,
yeah,
the fuck
it
up.
Probably slipped out. Like, Danny describes that if people are screaming thoughts or emotions,
yeah, that's true.
He'll read them.
Yeah.
And probably in Jack's mind, if he's like mad and trying, like if he's going through anything that's similar to like the dialogue that you and I just had, where like, oh, you need to shut up, like, we're gonna stay here, what you saw didn't happen, like, it's probably
because that's why, like, that's what I mean by front of mind. Like, he's thinking about how he can't think about it. Ironically, don't think of a pink elephant. Are we good? Chapter 36?
I think so.
Yeah, 36, the elevator. They're all, I don't know why it's so funny that they're able to sleep.
Sorry, well, so she does mention, like, what were we doing, like, while he was out playing by himself? We were, of course, like, two teenage kids sleeping with their itch nicely scratched. And it's funny because, and sorry if I whistled there for a minute.
It's alright.
But, Jack he found himself wishing that Wendy would ask him about the hedges, would ask him what Danny meant when he said, you know, because you saw. If she did, he would tell her everything, the hedges, the woman in the room, even about the fire hose that seemed to have switched positions.
Yeah.
But where did confession stop? Could he tell her that he'd thrown the Magneto away, that they could all be down in Sidewinder right now if he hadn't done that?
Yeah. The amazing you know, like, that's what George said. You know. Perfect.
But he said, like, and it's cool because this chapter ends with them basically, like, he tells her, stop it, it's over. She says no, and gave him a strange, restless smile. It's not over. She went out to make tea, leaving him to keep watch over their son.
Yeah. Which is nuts. So she could slap him again. All right, listen here, you little shit. You didn't see nothing.
But see, so the lobby starts to get short. Like, these chapters are...
Yeah.
They're not as long as that other one.
Yeah. Because this is where it's going to really pick up in 5.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, the elevator.
Sorry,
this is going to be where the hotel starts to make itself more...
It's alive.
Like, the topiaries are not the only physical thing right now, or at this point.
Yeah.
Because they wake up to the elevator starting to go up and down.
Wendy sat up beside him and knew it was no dream.
Yep.
Her hand cold gripped his wrist. Yeah, the humming sound.
And you can hear the door, the rattle of the gate, accordion back, the bump of doors opening and closing, then the hum of the motor and the cables again.
And it's probably in the center of the building, right? You'd imagine.
Probably.
Like it's like the heart, like the boiler's really like the heart, but.
So basically Jack's like, I'm going to go check this out by myself. And she's like, no.
I got this,
they're
so I
all
can
going
lie
as
to
a
you.
happy little family to go look at this elevator.
Yeah. It's funny that they don't know that they don't have knives on them, like any weapon that they could have. But it's partially because they're all scared of Jack. Wendy probably doesn't want to sleep next to sleepwalking Jack with a knife.
I don't know.
I know,
I'd
right?
probably not tell him.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Keep
they
that
heard the
bang on
doors thump open and party. Why had she thought party? The word had simply jumped in her head for no reason at all. The silence in the Overlook was complete and intense except for the weird noises coming up from the elevator shaft. Must have been quite a party. What party?
Yeah.
For just a moment her mind had filled with an image so real that it seemed to be a memory. Not just any memory, but one of those you treasure, one of those you keep for very special occasions and rarely mention aloud. Lights, hundreds, maybe thousands of them, lights and colors, the pop of champagne corks, a 40-piece orchestra playing Glenn Miller's In the Mood. But Glenn Miller had gone down in his bomber before she was born. How could she have a memory of Glenn Miller?
That's what I meant earlier by, is he stepping into somebody? Like he knows, he's having a memory of somebody who knows Lloyd? Like it's drift, it's mental. There's a mental realm, and two clouds bump into each other, like two mental states.
That or it's literally bringing him in.
It's just giving her, but like even the word party, like that's.
She doesn't know Lloyd. It's actually Wendy picking up on this party.
Well, I'm saying anybody. That's what I'm saying. I think this happens to anybody. Like, it's happening here for some reason. These things, her mind is just colliding with other minds.
No, I think that in this case, the hotel's actually becoming more powerful because we're now at this point. It's the night of the 29th, right? So we're 3 days away from this happening. Yeah. So the hotel's starting to just materialize more things. Yeah. And at this point, she can almost she looks over and Danny has his head cocked, like if he can hear something that she can't hear. So he's probably able to already pick up like voices and music. And she's just starting to get some of the images and the music. Like she's starting to get the vibe. She's
just hearing the hum, literally the hum of the part, like a normal, through normal senses, not through her mind.
Well, right now it's through her mind. Eventually it'll be. Okay. And because she's going to say on the night of the party, they must have crowded in by the dozens, crowded the car way beyond its safety limit. But of course it had been new then, and all of them were wearing masks. What masks? So she's going to say that. And she's going to be kind of hearing in her mind, because at this point, I don't think she can necessarily hear it, like actually hear it, but good night, yes, it was lovely. No, I really can't stay for the unmasking. Early to bed, early to rise. Oh, was that Sheila, the monk? Isn't that witty? Sheila coming as a monk? Yes, good night, good thump, like the doors closing. Yeah. So She's hearing this. Danny's probably hearing this.
She's screaming. I keep hearing voices in my head. She cried. So what's wrong with it? I feel like I'm going crazy. And he looked at her with deadly blandness. Yeah, and Danny hears it too. He's like, yes, and music, like from a long time ago in my head. But Jack's claiming not to hear it. Yeah. You believe him?
I don't know. He's such a liar.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know that I believe him. He actually might be hearing it too.
Yeah.
So, he's actually going to go up to the elevator and he's going to like stop it. I forget how. Cause he's like, oh, it's my job. Like it's probably having a short circuit. Yeah. It's not a big deal. Relax. Jack stepped to the right where a glass fronted box was mounted on the wall at chest height. He smashed his bare fist against it. Glass tinkled inward, blood dripped from two of his knuckles. He reached in and took out a key with the long, smooth barrel. So he's going to basically like force shut down the elevator. Yeah. And when it stops, this is the creepiest part, okay? And tell me that you weren't terrified. It's basically the way it's described. It stops in between floors. Yeah. So you don't see it fully stop. Like you see the door, like the bottom half of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so Wendy's going to, when it stops, she's going to run over. She's going to force the doors open.
Yeah.
And she's going to slide herself into the elevator.
Yeah.
Did you not think for a second it was going to turn on?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Who
She
got a
slips
half a
into the
Wendy?
elevator.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of it, she just throws a bunch of freaking confetti, a cat's eye mask,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just shouting at Jack. Does that look like a short circuit to you, Jack?
Yeah, things are just materializing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool. It's not just a ghost story. It's so much more creative. It's almost like you really don't see shit like this unless it's like sci-fi. Like it has to be space. It's like, no, man, we're in space. The Earth is in space. Like cosmic horror here in Colorado.
So the hotel is flexing because it's like, yeah, it's coming. It's becoming more powerful.
Gotcha, bitch. It's like,
Yeah.
it's literally snowed in. We got him to throw away the thing. You're stuck. Stuck.
And this is what I mean by like slowly. So it starts off in their minds, but like slowly things are happening where like things are materializing, things are coming to life,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually they will just be hearing voices and music. It's not just in their heads.
And that's what I
it's
need to be
really
clear.
just-
That confetti was really in her hand. She really threw out. Everybody saw the physical. Could have picked it up off the ground.
Yeah.
Physical confetti.
Yes.
Yeah. But the voices and the party and the music was just in Danny.
No,
It was just in their head.
Yeah.
It might have been in all
And I
three
admit,
heads.
look, I guess you can say that's what's so creepy about the hotel.
Mhm.
Are the people ever there? Is it just material things that are manifested? But
But the zombie lady, the hedges do move and scratch you.
they really do.
Yeah. So, all right, we're good. Chapter 37, which I believe is the last chapter in this part.
Yep.
Yeah, she's just still the 1st of December. I was gonna say that there's that last night was actually the 30th because they woke up on the 30th.
So
30th?
it
Is it
is
the 1st? I don't know. Yeah, so the 1st of
regardless,
December.
it's the 1st of December.
Mhm. Yeah, let me just keep that. Like you said, it's so creepy. They keep starting with the with the time, and then the elevator, the basement, the playground, room 217, and the presidential
this is
suite.
A stupid clock.
Yeah. Oh my
So
god.
Danny, who's been wandering around, doesn't know if the ballroom is a safe or not safe place.
Yeah.
So he goes in there, somewhat hypnotized,
Mhm.
and goes up to this big old clock that they have.
Yeah.
And he's going to open the glass dome, and there's like a silver key, and he's going to basically wind up the clock.
Mhm. Yeah, looking, and of course, but just to stress it, it's all playing with time. Everything from literally, he's manipulating a giant clock. And I thought I put a note somewhere around here, but maybe that goes into the next part. Are we? And we're in Danny's head right here, right? Danny
Yeah,
turned.
this is all in Danny's perspective.
But how does Danny know? And the Red Death held sway over all.
Because he hears it. So this is just gonna be a recurring thing in all their minds, because he's gonna hear midnight, stroke of midnight, hooray for masks. Like he's going to hear the party, or he's hearing these echoes of things in the hotel in his mind. But what's gonna happen is that, so this clock has different things that play out at the stroke of midnight, in quotation marks, for Danny and for Jack. What we're going to see for Danny is going to be two ballerinas that are going to come out.
Yeah.
Like a cuckoo clock type. Or not a cuckoo clock, like those clocks where like little characters come out and they do something, they dance, or they like... So the two ballerinas are going to come out, and they're going to act like they're going to dance together, but they're going to flip... I think the male ballerina flips the female ballerina into like a 69, and these little dolls are just going to like obscenely move. And it's gonna make Danny like nauseous because we needed mood music.
That's what he's listening to. I was like, I want to hear it. I actually don't know. I meant to look that up. Wow, you're lucky. I can't play it. I don't want to get hit by copyright, so you don't get to be super spooked right before we go to bed. A series of brass strikers rose and fell. My
but
God.
Danny's basically realizing
I don't know
he
why that
was
makes
the
it so much
key.
creepier to hear this song. I'm so glad I looked it up, but it makes it creepier. Midnight, stroke of midnight, hooray for masks. Do 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 do.
Yeah, the Overlook, all things. In the Overlook, all things had a sort of life. It was as if the whole place had been wound up with the silver key. The clock was running. The clock was running. He was the key, Danny thought sadly. Tony had warned him, and he had just let things go on. I'm just 5.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest lines in this whole book. It's so realistic and empathetic. You just highlighted, right?
Yeah. He cried to some half-felt presence in the room. Doesn't it make any difference that I'm just 5?
Is it bad I laughed?
There was no
at
answer.
That? I don't think that's bad writing. I think that was great and perfect and realistic.
No, that was perfect because I mean.
But I still laughed. I was like, I know, right? This guy is just 5. Jesus, you don't even think of that. Yeah, I mean, again, perfect. I don't want to be redundant, but he's literally the metaphors. Like, but the metaphors are real. Like, he is a key, but there is also the little key, like the little clock and the little. But it's all the way down, all the way up.
He's gonna call Tony, and he's gonna feel like there's no answer from Tony, and he just needs to talk to Tony one more time at least, because he just feels like just so alone.
And a couple paragraphs back, he mentions the red rum. Red rum keeps coming up again, and that's why that's been bothering him since they got here, right? That was like super early.
Yeah, since before, because Tony was sending him the message.
Yeah, before they even came out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the medical cabinet mirror, the word red rum flashing off and on. How creepy is that? But
unable to reach Tony, he does end up in like in that state. He hasn't gone into this type of mental, like, meditative or psychic state in a while.
Yeah.
So staring at the clock, he goes down this like dark tunnel, and at the end of it, he sees someone dressed in all white, with like tobacco, like a cigarette coming out their mouth, and he just knows it's Holleran.
Yeah.
And he remembers, if there is trouble, Holleran said, you give a call, a big loud holler like the one that knocked me back a few minutes ago. I might hear you even way down in Florida. And if you do, I'll come on the run. I'll come on the run. I'll come on the... Come now, then. Come now. Come now. Oh, Dick, I need you. I need you. We all need you. Run. Sorry, I got to run. Sorry, Danny, kid, old doc. But I got to run. It's sure been fun, you son of a gun. But I gotta hurry. I gotta run. No!
I don't know why this line hit me so much. Like, there's already creepy zombie lady. But this one... And that was when the shadow figure turned the corner, huge in the hallway's gloom, only the reflected red of its eyes clear. There you are, now I've got you, you fuck, now I'll teach you. I don't know, like, that's such a simple, basic, almost like cartoon, like it just has big scary red eyes. It's a big old black blob with red eyes.
Terrifying.
But I'm like, I don't know. That seals the deal, that you just get the sense that is the thing.
Yeah, that's the
not
monster.
A topiary or the thing. They're all specifics, but this is the monster. That was great. But I guess because he's in this...
But these are all the final images.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is he's actually going to see Tony one more time.
Yeah.
And Tony's going to tell him, I can't come anymore, Danny. He won't let me near you. None of them will. Let me near you. Get Dick. Get Holleran.
Yeah.
Keep calling him. And he screams out to Tony, but Tony's gone. Because, like, Tony's just been trying so hard to get to him, but at this point, he's been blocked out again. And he sees there's going to be a couple things, because he's going to actually see everything in the apartment destroyed. He's going to see his mom's record player overturned, the mattress half off the bed. So he's seeing things from that day, red rum flashing on and off. And suddenly a huge clock in a glass bowl materialized in front of it. There were no hands or numbers on the clock face, only a date written in red, December 2nd.
Yeah. And then, eyes widening in horror, he saw the word red rum reflecting dimly from the glass dome. now reflected twice, and he saw that it spelled murder. Because it's two reflective surfaces.
Yeah.
Um,
So for a moment, he lay on the ballroom floor, breathing hard. Red rum, murder.
yeah.
Red rum, murder.
Did you know that first time reading it? Because The Shining's
No.
so popular that it had already been spoiled for me.
No,
That's what Red Rum
I
was.
didn't. I actually, because
Yeah.
I have an overactive imagination and don't watch
Yeah.
scary things. And I did not know that red rum was going to be murder.
Yeah.
I actually wondered if it was related to Jack's drinking.
Yeah,
Turns out
okay.
it is,
That's
but
funny.
not
I was like, that's
in
what
the
he's
way I
going
thought.
for, I think. So that's pretty funny. Yeah, I know, right? It is connected to his drinking.
It is
In
cool.
a way,
I was
yeah.
like, that's clever. I
Yeah,
like that.
I didn't know that from, like I said, we didn't watch the movies, but just from other, I don't know, people making fun of it or referencing it. I don't know how I picked that up.
No, I
feel like it's such
somehow
a-
totally
dodged
dodged
that one.
any
Very
reference
good.
to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, so he ends up giving one shout out again, and
Yeah.
we're gonna see that eventually we get Dick's or Holleran's perspective,
Yeah.
and there's like multiple messages, but this is like the first one, I think,
Yeah.
where he's reaching out, and he screamed with all his might. His head seemed to shiver with the force of it. Oh, Dick, oh, please, 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 come.
Yeah.
Above him, the clock he had wound with the silver key continued to mark off the seconds and minutes and hours.
Yeah. So now there's literally a countdown, too.
Yep.
Because this was the 1st of December. They got 24 hours.
So we're officially at part 5.
Yeah, and all of that's going to be in 24 hours. And I guess a little epilogue. But let's call it there.
Yeah.
Perfect thing. We'll finish it in the next part for sure in the next video. So, thanks. Do all the stuff. Like, subscribe, comments. We will see you in the next one.
Let us know if you like it.
Yeah. That's crazy.
If you got any other recommendations for us to read.
Yeah, for sure. We could use recommendations. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.